adoption of direct primary mode for political parties in Nigeria is an idea whose time has come. Despite opposition to the idea by state governors, the National Assembly has now transmitted the 2021 Electoral Act Amendment Bill passed this month to President Muhammadu Buhari for his assent, and its pursuant to Section 58(3) of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. The bill makes provisions for electronic transmission of election results by INEC and the adoption of direct primaries by political parties for election of candidates in future polls. Well, as Nigerians await the presidential assent, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, says he is sure President Buhari will sign the bill into law as he supports the idea of direct primaries. BKO, we come to you once again. Do you share, or how much of optimism do you share on this matter, talking about the presidential assent to the notion or provision of direct primary?
It's difficult to say with finality that Mr. President will give his assent this time. Some of the federal lawmakers are confident that the president will give his assent. I've had a few of them say, look, we didn't just take this decision. We knew that the president was in support of our stance. So we are confident he will give his assent. But knowing this president, even sometimes when he feels strongly about something, some people pile tremendous pressure on him and he will change his mind. Remember the executive order that he made in respect of autonomy for the legislature and the judiciary. Governors went to see him, and the president stopped short of gazetting that executive order because of the intervention of the president, of the governors. He took the stubborn resolve of judicial legislative workers before we were able to secure that autonomy. Governors were not happy, and they pressured the president, and the president simply didn't take action at that time. So, and we've also had the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, saying the president will be guided by issues of security and financial wherewithal in deciding whether he should give his assets. But I will advise the president to listen to the voice of reason. We've had many Nigerians come out to say, look, the direct primary is the most participatory form of choosing the candidates for electoral positions in the political parties, and that the president should should give his assent this time. So I expect the president to do just that. Anything that will allow for the overwhelming majority of our people to be able to participate in the process is something that the president, who is known for his love for the grassroots, should support. So this is where I stand. But I can't say with finality that indeed the president will go ahead and give his assent this time. But as former Senate President Bukola Saraki advised, the president should simply give his assent. He shouldn't do what he did before the 2019 election when he decided to withhold assent. After all the hard work, after all the public hearings on the floor of the National Assembly, all the hard work by the INEC and other
Biko, let me put you on hold. We'll return to this conversation. But in the meantime, let's invite the spokesman of the Nigerian Senate, Ajibola Bashiru, joining us via Zoom for more discussion on this. Thank you so much for joining us at this time. Well, the move by the National Assembly was also met with uproar, especially from opposition members who still maintain that this issue of whatever mode of primary should be the prerogative of political parties. How do you respond to that?
To join you, and they're also giving me the opportunity to correct the wrong impression. It is not the case that the opposition members at the Senate, particularly at the floor, were opposed to the issue of the direct primary. There appear to be a jump between what senators elected on the platform of the PDP wants and what the bureaucracy of their political party wants. I'm well aware that Senator Matthew Orogide, who is a very senior member of the PDP, a senator from Edo State, is a member of the Nomination Committee and is also one of the people that are very well in tune with the direct primaries, as well as many leading elements, senators in the National Assembly. So there appear to be a disconnect between what the party bureaucracy, both are possibly on the part of the APC and the PDP, and what national legislators actually want. And of course, we are sworn to the Constitution to make law for the good order and government of the country. And in our best judgment, we think that primary is the best way to address our issue of internal democracy and the leadership recruitment methodology within the context of our political party. So it's not the case that there's a division in the National Assembly as far as Senate is concerned as to the issue of the direct primary.
But on the issue of the financial burden this would bear, not just on the political parties, but on INEC as well, how was this debate resolved?
See, the question is this: democracy all over the world, whether you like it or not, has never been a cheap endeavor. If you want to get a best democratic experience, you must be ready to bear the wherewithal. And I would say that some of the logistic and the financial challenges are, with respect, quite exaggerated. I listened to the governor saying that 7 or 18 political parties may have primary on the same day. All of us know that there are two major political parties in Nigeria, and that is the PDP and the APC. All other political parties, they may well hold their direct primary inside the hall or a sitting room. There's no a fastidious way as to logistic requirement. What the amended section 85, previously 37 provide for is that there must be a guideline, and the guideline must be issued by the political party, must be made transparent, and everybody give you opportunity to vote who will be the flag bearer. So some of those logistic and financial requirements, they are more of arguments, which I'll call argumentum ad nauseam, just to undermine the transparency and the democratic content of the process of direct primary.
All right. Let me also ask you about, there's a position attributed to the chairman of the Senate Committee on INEC, Kabir Gaya, who said the direct primary clause adopted in the proposed bill wasn't a revolt against governors, but an opportunity to protect lawmakers from the governors. He made a case about it's better for experienced lawmakers to return to the National Assembly rather than giving room for newcomers. And you are a beneficiary of the system. It's your first time around. To what extent do you agree with Senator Gaya's position?
First and foremost, I'm a senator from Osun Central Senatorial District. We don't have a problem. I don't have any problem with my governor or with any of my leaders in my state. So, and that is not, the compelling motive for agreeing with the position. But just as the speaker, Right Honorable Badabia Miller, said at the meeting we had at the Villa, I think about 2 weeks ago, he said, there are two compelling reasons why this must be, the step to be taken. One, if the intent of making statutory provision for emergence of candidates is to ensure internal democracy, the best representation of internal democracy is by way of direct primary. And he also talked about institutional need for us to have experienced legislators. And he said that there are quite a lot of experienced legislators that they are not rejected by the electorate. They have done marvelously well in terms of representation, in terms of constituency outreach, but just because certain power block will not just like them within the system. So those are two compelling reasons. So it's not as if anybody is set on the coalition comes with any governor or with any institution, but we must do what should be done. If the essence of inserting provisions on the emergence of candidate electoral act, that should be the basis of ensuring that we have genuine internal democracy, and the basis of internal democracy, popular acceptability, and rather very cheaper way of ensuring that a credible candidate emerges is by way of direct primary.
All right, please go on.
Distinguished Senator, let me ask something that has been of concern to me. Now, we are rooting for direct primaries. My own concern has always been what will change in terms of the influence of money on this process. Because a lot of Nigerians have stopped believing in these parties because there is always a pre-arranged end to everything. So whether it is the general membership electing, or it is going to the indirect primaries where they elect those who elect, do you believe, sincerely, sir, that anything is going to change in terms of preconceived outcomes?
We change. And I will also say with respect that I beg to disagree. And or rather, I will say that it is debatable whether a majority of Nigerians are disenchanted with political parties. I'm just giving my consensus, and I've attended political party functions, and the party stalwarts, I've always come out enthusiastically to participate at party program. Maybe a few elites of us, who are politically, aloof and indifferent, are not really, seeing this signal of genuine concern of our people for internal democracy. Then I will say what will change is this. You see, there is this idea of unnecessary acrimony that attend emergence of executive of the party, on the understanding that ultimately they will be the one that will decide those who will carry the flag of the party. So a lot of acrimony, a lot of expenses, and a lot of challenge always goes into this. What will change is that if you now want to be executive of your party, you will do so because you are committed to running the affairs of the party administratively and ensuring that you get yourself committed. Not that you are looking towards a payback from somebody that will induce you to vote for a particular aspirant in the primary. Then you also ensure that the members of the party take back their party. Where you talk of preconceived outcome is because party members presently are helpless as to ultimately those who will emerge as a candidate. And I'll give you as an example. The Nigerian Bar Association used to conduct delegate election, but they have now gone to go by way of direct all members elected. Of course, there has been a difference in that. So if a parallel can be drawn from the experience of the shift in attitude and in participation in the NBA election, moving from delegates to general election, then you'll be able to see that it is possible for us to see a quantum leap, qualitative participation by genuine members who hold the party and who are interested in ensuring the success of the party.
Finally, Senator, what will also change in terms of really opening up the political space for more youth to participate with this direct primary mode?
You see, the question of opening the space for the youth is not just about the youth, but it's generally about the general, apathy in certain regard because of the fact that we have not been able to synchronize democracy with issue of good government. There is also the question of the problem of a preconceived notion that it will not matter whether you participate, or not. Then rather than demonize a political process, I would rather think that we should engage in process of popular engagement of the people and the enlightenment and orientation to know that the highest calling you can do is to engage in public service and ensure that you participate in the democratic process of your country.
Okay.
Right. I'm afraid, well, Senator Bashiru, we have to let you go at this time now. I understand that there are some exigencies that will not allow us to continue this conversation. We thank you very much for your contributions on the program.
Yeah, I'm happy to have been part of the conversation. Thank you very much.
All right, let me get the take. Apologies, I know you were rooting to ask consent to the senator, but for you having listened to his position and by extension the Senate and National Assembly's position, how does it affect your stand on this issue of direct primaries?
I've not been convinced. All along, I've not been convinced. He came here today. He has not convinced me. It's all self-serving. And I keep saying it. Members of the National Assemblies have genuine reasons, to fight those who are party leaders at the state levels, the governors. You get my point? Yeah. Now, this is not to say governors don't overdo things or this. The one we had before, or we have the indirect primary, there are problems in it, but we can solve the problems. Now, this one, many people who are talking probably base their own notion of direct primaries on textbook definition of what is direct primary. If you observe what has gone on in these past few months and years under APC, at least the APC has tried to use what they call direct primaries. The party has been engulfed in intractable crisis every time they use direct primary. The one they did just a few months ago in Anambra ended in a laughable affair, where they said they had almost 350,000 people voting for their party, and the winner getting about 250,000. You get my point? At the end of the day, the same man was a mitigated failure at the polls. You get my point? So when you see what is happening, some people said we've tried it before. We did option A4. Those who are saying this are comparing Nigeria of 1990, 1991, 1992 to Nigeria of today. When you go to the venue, who do you see? When you want to do direct primaries, number one, you cannot do in a place, in any state. You have to do in several places, maybe local government by local government or ward by ward, whatever way you want to do it. Where is the INEC to monitor that? Even at the party level, the one I've monitored that I've seen, you don't have more than 5-member panel to do the election, to cover a whole state. So at the end of the day, what happened? People just come up with figures. So what I'm trying to say is, if you want to sink this democracy, give it direct. I know the president will know. He has said it many times that he doesn't want to end up as a failure, that he wants to leave Nigeria better than he met it. If he appends his signature to this bill with direct primary, I will be one of those that will be happy to talk about it, because I will say in the next 10 years, see what will happen to our democracy. All
right. Before I bring in BKO, what do you have to say about the lobbying that we see on record now, the side of the governors against the National Assembly? And having listened to Honorable Bajabiamila, where do you stand on this issue?
Well, in reality, where I stand is that our parties should go back to what they should be. They should belong to the people. These parties are owned by only a few. And that is where my concern is, which was a question I asked the distinguished senator. The little one that you do and you call in direct primaries, we know the way they go. You get people on the queue, and the only thing that they go there to do is to ask, where is the line for this person? Who do we vote for in this place? You see them go to vote. We have at a point, it was the introduction of the mobile phone to voting box. You endorse the ballot and you snap it and you send to the person who is going to pay you. So what it means is Nigerians don't own those parties. So whether it is direct or indirect primaries you are using, that is my own concern. When are we going to get to the point where we, Nigerians, will get to the point where we have confidence in that system, that it is who we want that will come out? He cited a good example in Anambra State. APC had over 350,000 people vote in the primaries. And their candidates in the general election, which is the governorship election, did not get 100,000 votes. So where were these 350,000 who voted for him? Generally, the world over, we are seeing sharp drop in number of people who go out to vote. Nigeria can be different. But the figures that we get now, they are alarming. It shows that, see, we have left these parties to the owners as Nigerians. Do whatever you please with it. It's not my party. So if you are going to ask somebody to come out to do direct primaries, that person will obviously wait for what is in it for me. That's the only reason they go out to vote now. It happens everywhere. We have seen it. So you can't take out money politics from this. What it means is that politicians will now spend more money on these primaries.
Yes.
And they will now steal more money to cover up for what they have spent. Number two is this. The senators and the House of Reps members, we are also, forced to believe that they are serving their own interest. Some governors are already canvassing to go to the Senate. And whose seats are they going to occupy? The seats of the incumbent in the National Assembly. That's where they are going to. So it then becomes a problem. We need to stop these governors. But the big question is, even if you want to stop these governors through these primaries, is it possible? How much of war chest do those in the National Assembly, how much of war chest do they have? 1 month of security vote by these governors can kill the whole of the combined efforts of the 3 senators from a state. 1 month of security vote. So at the end of the day, what we are going to do to ourselves is to make our politics more monetized. But if we can address the roots of this matter, where we are able to enforce, because like I've said a couple of times on this program, there is no negative behavior that we don't have a law at present to check in this country. We get to the point where we are able to tackle the issue of money in politics. INEC has a ceiling. This is how much you can spend. It has this, it has that. But who monitors? Who enforces? So whether it is direct or indirect, we still need to go back and hand over the party back to the people. We still need to do that. You can't run away from it. So for me, it is just a matter of direct primaries. We all come and we elect the people who are going to represent us. Indirect, we elect some people who we elect those we want to elect. Nothing has changed. All right.
BKO, well, you've listened to Senator Bashiru, and of course, my analysts here have also, spoken on the issue. But my takeaway is, the concerns as to what will change, indeed, in terms of sanitizing the way politics is practiced, especially at the party level. So, indeed, talking about the issue of vote buying, I mean, the same Senator Gaya said it will be difficult for him to go around his 172 wards, that he has to be you have to be a popular candidate. So the issue of vote buying, he says, will be tackled, but you need to convince the guests in the studio here on that. So what is it for you?
Well, even if at the level of party primaries, the issue of vote buying is reduced, we all know that in the general election, vote buying will still happen. It has become
all right. We'll try to reconnect. We'll try to reconnect with BKO.
I completely agree with BKO there. There is no way you can. But the point we should now be working towards is, if the president is going to sign this, he needs to empower those who are going to work on it. Look at the number of cases INEC deals with. Each time election is over. Go and find out. It's more of intra-party issues that INEC contends with. If we cannot resolve our problems in-house as a political party, then what hope do we have?
All right, let me throw the question at you, Adekunle. So what will sanitize the system?
What we said, he has said some of the things. You remember when Nigeria was Nigeria, that's what they call party supremacy. Today, do you have that? When the man who succeeded Nelson Mandela in South Africa, Thabo Mbeki, if I remember very well, he was asked to resign by his party. What did he do? He resigned. Right. If you do that to President Muhammadu Buhari in Nigeria, they will say it's treasonable offense. His party cannot. So we make the president to be in charge of the ruling party. We make the ruling governor, the governors to be in charge of the ruling party at the state. So because of that, there is no way the people will own the party. There should be party separate from government. You emerge through a party, you can't be bigger than that, platform. But in Nigeria, that's not what is happening. So unless we want to return to that era where everybody is paying to the party and everybody has equal chances, you get my point? Today, that's not what is happening. That is not. Most people in the party go there not because they are contributing, they are going there for what they can benefit. I'm sorry to say.
Right. BK, we understand we can now reconnect with you. Please carry on.
Yes, I'm saying that money politics, or what is now known as see and buy, especially on election days, has become part of our electoral experience, and it has come to stay. The more INEC makes it difficult to rig elections by revolutionizing the process, the more politicians realize that they have to buy the conscience of the voters. All the elections we've had in the last few years, we've seen politicians part with money. They actually vote billions of naira for vote buying on election day. So whether we do direct primary or indirect, that one has come to stay, and I do not see how we can change that with any mode of change. I mean, of selecting candidates or political parties.
Okay, once again, we have to, suspend that. We'll get back to BKO for more on that.
I think what BKO has said is basically
then,
okay.
But no one is saying it's perfect. But we cannot also say that the other one, the indirect primary, is perfect. A system by which governors reserve the right, have the power.
Internet fluctuation.
At that level, at the state, like he has said, governors, they determine what happens. You find out in some states, for the state's Congress, you elect people from the ward, and they come. And the number of delegates from government completely overshadows the number. You have all commissioners, the governor can bring in 40 other persons, the state executive, which is controlled by him, has all the apparatus, the youth leader, the this leader, the that leader. So at the end of the day, those from the governor's camp at that state's Congress, they are more than the number of people who have emerged from the ward. So tell me how they want to win. And that's the fear of those who are in the National Assembly. That's what we can read. But like we have also said, those in the National Assembly are doing this to serve themselves. It's self-serving. There's nothing else to it. I want, for instance, a governor in one of the northern states is already campaigning to go to the Senate. This is 2021. And the senator is already scared that this man is going to remove me because he knows he has the war chest. And like BKO said, what is politics in Nigeria other than money? Vote and be paid. there is a slang.
And
Vote and fill your pot of soup.
All right, gentlemen. Well, let's move on. We'll suspend our discussions and definitely we'll return as soon as we have updates. In the meantime, all right. Well, BKO, I have to actually get the final take on this issue from you.
Yes, the National Assembly members reserve the right to do what they have done, and I'm completely in their support. If a governor would decide who gets to the Senate, if a governor would decide who succeeds him, if a governor would decide who goes to the House of Assembly and even choose the Speaker, sometimes even before the House of Assembly elections are held, governors will have anointed the Speaker. What sort of nonsense is that? Is that democracy? That you retain the right to determine who becomes what within our political system? They know now that this is a kind of modus that will take that power away from them. That's why the governors are running from pillar to post. Why are they shouting all over the place? Why are they grumbling? If you are popular, why are you worried about direct primaries? Why are you shouting on rooftops about direct primaries? If you are popular, why should anybody oppose something that is the most participatory method that we can think about? It's because they want to go back to the old method of simply picking their own loyalists and making those ones delegates. Sometimes other stakeholders will not even know who is a delegate, except the governors. I mean, it has to stop. It has to stop. Governors are not gods. They may fancy themselves as gods with the small letter G, but they are not gods. So we have to find a way to make our parties for everyone. We have to find a way to make our method of choosing who contests elections products of the choice of the generality of our people, not simply people that governors like their faces. You can imagine somebody anoints a governor, he becomes governor, he was a commissioner, now he doesn't even want to see the senator who put him there. So this is the thing. Look at what happened to Dajuma Goje in Gombe. After he made someone governor, that same person used people to block him from coming into the state capital. How much longer are we going to do this? It is not easy to train federal lawmakers. It's not easy. They need to be in the house for some time. But we have a situation in which after just 4 years, governors will clear out some of the people who had been in the house, and then you bring in fresh people. We have people in the U.S. Senate who have been in the Senate since the 50s. Since the 50s. Can we ever have that in our country?
40, 50 years in the Senate.
50 years in the Senate? Yeah. Do you know how many years even Joe Biden was the Senate before he became president? What is wrong in having that in our country? To have people who are properly trained, properly attuned to the methodology of making laws for our country. But governors believe that they are God. Nobody must become anything except through them. And now when people settle for direct primaries, they use their own powers. They are now running from pillar to post and trying to blackmail everybody. Oh, it's going to cost it's going to cost INEC so much money. INEC has said that it will use NYC members. Yeah. So what are we talking about? Let's have a method that does not put power firmly in the hands of a few people. That's what we should aspire to have. No method is perfect, but at some point we can make the method better. But we can't simply dismiss a method and succumb to the blackmail of Nigeria's extremely selfish governors.